Hello, what's up, good people? Good to see you once again. So now, how do you become wealthy in a poor African continent? What are the requirements for you to do exactly that? And by the way, this is a secret, and our fellow politicians, the fellow leaders of this African continent, have known the secret and they have been exploiting it for quite a while now. But again, what exactly does it entail for you to actually get out of the complaining comfort and actually get yourself to a beneficiary of what is happening in Africa? If you've been keen enough to look around, you can see African continent has become an interesting place for a couple of people. You find the Chinese are here, and also you realize that Indians want to be here, or actually they've been here for quite a while. The Western countries are here, and actually even the Middle East are now showing the interest into this poor African continent. And if indeed it was a poor African continent, I mean, what business would they wish to do with a poor African continent? First of all, that's a stereotype, all right? One thing that you're supposed to realize in Africa is that it's made up of 54 countries. For those who think it's a country, it is a continent, not a country. It's very diverse and it has opportunities with respect to each country that you have an interest on. It is divided into several regions. We have the north, the east, the south, and the central. It depends on where you'd like to try your net on. So today I'm going to take you step by step and explain to you exactly what it entails for you to be rich in Africa. Because honestly speaking, it is easier for you to be rich in Africa if you have something that you can invest on compared to you being in Western countries. That's an opportunity I'm going to share with you. Whether you are here in Kenya or you're outside the diaspora or outside the African continent, you can tap the opportunity. Or whether you're still in here, you can still tap the opportunities. There is something that you're supposed to understand when it comes to African continent. But before I share exactly that information, I want to take you, or rather take 1 second. Just on your right, there is a button written subscribe. Just hit that button. Then on your left, there is another button like this. That's a like button. Hit those two magical buttons, because guess what happens once you do exactly that? Because I know you're asking yourself now, what's the importance? This is the importance, because I'm going to be sharing, and I still share good videos to you. So do exactly that. Now, let's get into today's business. What's happening with African continents, you find that the Africa that you're living right now is still a developing continent. You find that a lot of things are not yet into place. What are kind of those things? An example is infrastructure. An example is still food. Right now, as we are talking, there is a very prolonged drought in the Horn of Africa. When I talk of Horn of Africa, is Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and all those countries. Others are grappling with instability in terms of securities. Others are grappling with things to do with water, the food, and the shelter. We are still grappling with the basics. That's a fact. We cannot evade from that. But the same continent, you find that there are wealthy people who are driving, the most expensive cars. Others are, doing the chopper things or the private jet and what have you. There is a very much increment of what we call the Chinese investors in Kenya, in Africa at large. Recently, there was sort of a commotion in Kenya, a certain mall called the Chinese Square or something of sort. So you find they're tapping and creating any opportunity that they can see. They're not only becoming the producers and the suppliers of those materials, but they're becoming to a point whereby they're now taking from the production to the consumer directly and evading all that process of the wholesalers and what have you. By the way, have you ever been to, recently been in any typical nightlife club, whichever the country that you're coming from? I'll give an example of Kenya. You find that there are a lot of white people who are in those places, a lot of Indians, a lot of Chinese. Then you ask yourself, when did Africa or Kenya become a white continent? All right? So now that's the question that you're supposed to ask yourself. What's going on? Or what are those people doing exactly in our country? We love them. I would love to have them here, by the way. We are all humans, and anybody has the right to live anywhere they want, provided they adhere to the rules and regulations. But the question is this: does that trigger your mind and ask yourself, what exactly do they do and how do they do it, and why are they here despite it being a poor continent? So this is the point. If you can be able to tap and create that opportunity to where these people need more. For example, right now Africa is still grappling with what we call the infrastructure. If you as a company have the capacity to build, like recently in Nairobi, they built what we call the Nairobi Expressway, and the management of the Nairobi Expressway was saying that they have surpassed that's what we call they were targeting in terms of people who are using that specific toll road. What does that tell you? It tells you like if you can be able to offer that what they need most, then and be able to capitalize on that and monetize that exact thing, then you can make something out of it. For example, there is a high number of unemployment in our continent. All right, that means we have a lot of people who are willing to work. And guess what? At any cost, sometimes at any cost. All right, that means that the availability of the cheap labor in Africa. Say you have a production company somewhere. What if you were to shift it to Africa? And of course, once you shift it, of course, you have to go through the leadership of that given country. And that's why you find some of the people are now aware that they can be able to manipulate even the leadership of that country, not only to evade tax, but also to get the favorable, what we call some sort of tax system and something of sort. Then that means you can be able to leverage on your production. Presently, there's one news that iPhone was to ship from China and maybe go to India because now China has becoming a developing country and labor has become expensive. I can foresee one day they might shift all the way back to Africa because right now as we speak, we are no longer considering what is below our feet but what is between our ears. We have a lot of graduates and a lot of people who are in Africa and they actually have the relevant skills that you can tap and create and do something out of it. But not majority of people can be able to see this. They keep on shading you or giving you this information about how bad Africa is. But if you take a typical flight from New York to Nairobi, because we have a direct flights, then you'll wonder, why are you seeing all this number of white people coming all the way from America or Britain or whichever the place to Africa, yet they're telling you it's not a good place, a lot of disease and what have you. So it tells you, those who have known the secret, they don't want to share it. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to share that secret to you. What happened is that if you can be able to capitalize on what is, for example, just take an example of Starlink. This Elon Musk company is about to be enrolled in Kenya. The first country was enrolled to was in Nigeria. It's doing very well, actually. What does that tell you? What have they seen as an opportunity in this continent? Then it tells you that if you can be able to capitalize on what is disturbing us or Africans, then it means that you can be able to make money out of it. If you can be able to come here and be able to buy land, all right, or if not buying, then lease from the government or the government piece of lands, and then do the irrigation in large scales, and then you sell those specific production of food and whatever to the common people in this continent, then I'm telling you, you can be able to make money. The problem is this. For example, I come from Kenya. Right now, as we speak, we had a very big production land back in the coastal area of the country. It used to be called the Galana Kolalu or something. The intention was to irrigate close to 1 million acres of land, just because we can just to produce enough corn or maize, whichever you call it, for us, because that's the most stable food here in Kenya. But due to corruption and such kind of a thing, then it never happened. And now they are talking of privatizing that specific piece of investment or infrastructure for people to actually invest on. So if you have the capacity, if you want to tap that specific opportunity, then the sky is the limit. That's the reality of life. If you can be able to capitalize on exactly that, what is disturbing them, who Africans, then I'm telling you, you can make money out of it. For example, in terms of electricity connection, if you have the capacity to do that, in terms of infrastructure like roads, rails, and what have you, if you can tap that, then that's why you're seeing Chinese are coming into Africa, building the SGRs and what have you. Because what we have right now is the MGR, the meter gauge railway that was built in 1900 or something. So that tells you that there is a capacity to be built. And like you take yourself to New York, the subway is already there, the railway line is already there, the airports and what have you, the water, the electricity connection, the water, all those things are already there. I'm not saying that they are living in a perfect life. Also they still have something they're grappling with. But the fact remains, when it comes to the basics, they have already beaten exactly that. But in Africa, we are still grappling with exactly that. So if you can be able to tap that opportunity, get yourself here. And by the way, I don't know whether you guys know this. If you come from the West, if there is the easiest place that you can get into, if you can knock door of any country in Africa, it can be open for you immediately. That's for a fact. All right, so you can tap on that. You can create an opportunity out of that. I've seen a lot of people who come here, build what we call the travel industries, whereby they have their friends back at home and then they can connect them, instead of those guys coming here and connecting with the foreigners or something. Then you can come here, create that platform, and then invite them. And seriously, you know what? Okay, some of the Africans may not agree with me on that. They say, hey, why are you telling him all that? Let me tell you one secret. Being wealthy and creating money sometimes becomes it's a selfish game. It's all about tapping the opportunity, transforming it towards your own favor. That's the reality of life. So the point is this, if I was to, kind of recap exactly what I've just said. Africa is building capacity. Africa is building water resources, building electricity, is building housing. Like, for example, right now as we speak, one of the biggest slums in Africa is found in Nairobi. It's called the Kibra. We have another one in Soweto. that is in South Africa. We have another one called, I don't know, Makoko Island or something in Nigeria. So what does that tell you? If you have a way that you can be able to tap that opportunity, do something and offer what we call just a decent housing, then I'm telling you, even if they don't have much, they are ready to give that small that they have for you to get something at the end of the day. Because making money and becoming wealthy, honestly speaking, it's a game of confidence, a game of sort of selfishness at times, and it's a game of actually believing in yourself and trying and risking and getting yourself out of the comfort zone. That is exactly what you're supposed to do. And let me tell you one thing, I wouldn't really advise you to think of what is below our feet, because when you talk of Africa, people don't see the capacity of the human labor that you have. People think of the resources in terms of minerals. All right, that is what is below our feet. All right, so if you can go just beyond, not only think about what is below our feet, but what is between our ears, because in this continent we have a lot of graduate people. Most of the smartest people here on earth are found here. People who can program, people who can do something are found exactly here. How about you just seize a little bit to be an ignorant, tap this opportunity and create yourself something out of it. For example, those people who are residing in Kenya, my fellow Africans as well. So my question is this, you there, maybe you think and only believe that you can only make it if you want to get overseas and get out of Africa and do something about it. Well, I know life is tough from wherever you come from, because maybe your country where you come from, there is instability in terms of security and such, and I don't want to stand ignorant towards that. Maybe that's the best option you can do. But again, if there is something that you've gone outside the country or the continent and you have something that you can invest back home, I would advise you do exactly that. Because if this train leaves you behind, some of the foreigners will tap the opportunity, move with it, and it will become to a point whereby you reclaiming that will be a problem. We won't be welcome to their home, and won't be still have something into our home as well. So it is good to take that opportunity, and as well at all the occasion, try to look around, see the opportunities that are presented unto you wherever you come from, irrespective of the country, whether you come from the north, east, south, west, whatever the place. Just look around and see the opportunities that can be presented unto you. If you see there is a problem with garbage collection, think about that opportunity, tap it and create something out of it. If you think there is something to do with education and something of sort, tap that opportunity, create an opportunity over that, leverage on that, capitalize it and monetize it at last, and then you get something at the end of the day. Internet is taking place at a very high rate, so don't get left behind. Learn some skills and develop yourself to the next level. It all starts here. Money is mentality, honestly, and becoming wealthy and great in life, it's all about mentality. It's more of here than physically. If you keep on blaming and clinging your blame to the leaders, where you've born from, I don't know, to a point whereby you even regretting that you come from Africa or something of sort. Yeah, it may be hard for those who are traveling outside the country. People complain of, for you to process a visa, maybe to go to the Western country, it becomes like hectic to a point whereby you even get denied that specific visa. But the point is this: where did they go to benchmark for them to reach where they have reached? That's the question I'm gonna leave you with. Where did they go for them to benchmark and create what they have created up to this particular point? That's it. Anyway, for those who do not know me, my name is Joseph. Talk about investment, talk about money, and I always come here to share that opportunity that I've seen outside there, so that at least you can tap it, create something, and grow yourself to the next level. If that's a cup of your coffee, and I bet should be, seriously, who hates money? All right, so if that's a copy of coffee and if you agreed it is, then hit that subscription button. It's a very simple button that's on your right. Just hit it. It's written in black. Then there's another one, a like button. Hit those two magical buttons. Turn that notification bell as well. Comment down below, tell me what you think, because I'm a believer you have something that I can as well learn from you. All right, so for now it's a goodbye, but make sure that if you'd like to get any consultation as far as the businesses, investments, and opportunities here in Africa or in Kenya to be specific, I'll pin my number in the description of this specific video. You can contact me. I've as well prepared different booklets about investments here in our country, Kenya. So get the copy and get moving to the next level. For now, it's a goodbye and see you there.